All right. Hi, everyone. Noriko Yokoi back for our LinkedIn Live. Our focus is, as usual, a GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. And today, for our guest, we have Jean-Noël Escande. Well, let me tell you a little bit about him. He started his career in software development, working across full stack engineering and data visualization. He built analytics dashboards, improved data quality, and delivered insights that help both clients and internal teams make better decisions in the commercial real estate space. That foundation naturally led him into AI search. Why not, right? This is where it's all going. Today, he's a consultant at Get ISO, where he focuses on helping brands show up in platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity AI, and Google Gemini. His work centers on three areas. Number one, website audits and structured data implementation. Number two, content optimization for AI readability and retrieval. And number three, understanding how AI systems actually select and cite sources. All right. Hi, Jean-Noël.
Hello, Noriko. Thanks for taking the initiative of this conversation. Really happy to share my insights, and what I've discovered since like 14 months now that I'm in that field, and accompanying like 13 brands so far. And yes, as you mentioned in my presentation, I combined my experience in web development with my experience in data analytics, and that's basically the most efficient skills that you need and that you want to have in your team if you are addressing AI visibility.
Mm,
So I feel like a natural in that field, and perhaps I won't say expert at this stage, because I still the amount of things that I don't know is still way bigger than the things that I know. But thank you again for the presentation and the opportunity.
I think you're being humble. So, for the next 30 minutes, what we're going to focus on some of the things that most people who are in the generative engine optimization are interested in, which is really about what's happening, what's changing, and what clients are looking for. And then Jean-Noël is going to go into his tool, the tool that he has. We're not going to go deep into it, but we're going to talk a little bit about it and just how he's gone about with his GEO methodology. And then we're going to go into what's next. Okay. All right. So my first question is, I think, fundamentally are sort of aligned in that GEO and SEO are similar, but we also believe that GEO and SEO shouldn't be treated as the same thing. Just tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, it's a big debate, especially coming from the SEO industry. The debate is open fire on LinkedIn. But for me, it's a very simple answer. Is a search engine the same thing as an LLM? No, they are fundamentally, inherently different tools. So then it makes sense that the execution required some finesse and some nuance, because the same technique will not necessarily apply from SEO to GEO, but there is definitely some overlapping techniques and things that can be reused from SEO and GEO. One of the main way and the easiest way to put in it is SEO is all about ranking and keyword, but GEO is about selection and synthesis. So I think treating them as exactly the same thing can lead to poor execution, but that definitely belong to the search marketing family. So we should be happy that the family gets bigger. And I think there is huge opportunity for brands to take strong position in the geo field.
Fantastic. Yes. So you're saying that it's part of the same family, but it's like cousins versus it being like an identical twin, right? That's what you're saying.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you mentioned, the difference between SEO and GEO, SEO being about website ranking and keywords, whereas GEO is more about synthesis. But I was wondering if you could give us a few, simple example of where SEO and GEO execution differ.
Yeah, I have several of them that are very relevant. Let's take first the very well-known long-form ultimate guide that was working fine for SEO content. Those big 5,000 word ultimate guide that were packed with keyword that were great for SEO can lead to poor retrieval in for AI system and LLM. LLM will prefer like clear, structured, and especially query aligned content. So for LLM optimization, you want one topic, one intent, one simple answer in your content. That's the type of, let's say, blog content that will perform best in the LLM. There is another one that I like to also distinguish is the comparison article, very famous also in the SEO world. It was for company a good way, some sort of a good hack to capture some traffic from their competitors. When I'm talking with a CMO or head of marketing that suggest that question me if they should go for comparison article, my answer is definitely linked to how this brand is positioned against the competitors. When you will try to produce a comparison article for an LLM, maybe you will do some of the work that your competitors should do in simplifying and clarifying all their features. So depending where you are against your competitor, I would advise to do a comparison article or to avoid a comparison article. And those are two simple piece of content that in which the execution may differ depending if you are targeting good SEO or if you are tagging good GEO.
Okay, so it's sometimes case by case, it seems like, depending upon what sort of content they're looking for. Is that a good way of summarizing it?
Yeah, definitely. Like there is not yet a full easy blueprint to follow. LLM, it's really about the context, personalized answer. So the solution for a brand really depend on a lot of factor. Therefore, the recommendation I do for the client may vary a lot depending where they stand um, in a in their own competitive space.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Okay, great. Well, this leads me to, another section for our discussion, which is what are clients asking you when it comes to GEO services? And is there a big unlearning that has to take place uh, between SEO and GEO?
Yeah, the first and the first ask is, can you help me rank in LLM? And my first reaction is like to make the client move a little bit away from SEO concept because not all of them translate directly with the same recommendation. And yes, there is definitely some unlearning or recalibration that needs to be done to make their team understand the goal and especially what are the techniques we will put in place to improve their visibility and AI system.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We'll go into the specifics in a little while, but how has client demand changed over the last 6 to 12 months? Has it just become Has the velocity just increased because of the focus on geo? Tell me a little bit about your experience with clients.
Yeah, definitely a change. I To put it simply, I said it went from curiosity at first to a sense of urgency. I have several examples for that. My CEO, Ben Tannenbaum, handled the demo and the first contact with the client. And lately, we had an agency to which we have done a demo or first contact like 7 months ago. There, the contact was buried in our pipeline, and they just recently reached out because they were an agency, and now their clients are asking for GEO specific insights. So yeah, it definitely changed. As I said, from curiosity, question, to now let's do it, to a more practical execution. We need it now. Can you help us? That's it.
Okay, great. So it's not theoretical anymore. It's more like applied now. People want to see it on their websites. They want their names to be visible in LLMs, and obviously they want to see the results, right?
Yeah, and most of the clients are also experiencing deeply with LLM. So they don't need to go through a heavy understanding of an LLM programmatic structure. But as many of the CMO and head of marketing I'm talking to, they are deep user of LLM. So they are naturally feel that there is a shift happening in the user search and behavior. And as soon as you have the first data signal, the transition and the urgency of making tactical, strategic decision around geo comes naturally.
Okay. And where does the most friction happen internally within a marketing team? Can you tell me a little bit more about this? We talked a little bit about this unlearning, and that there are certain things certain adjustments that have to be made. And then if you could just go into some practical sort of examples that you've seen from marketing teams, that would be great.
Yeah, and unlearning might be a little bit strong. I would say like reframing or adjustment, just to put with the client the context and understand how LLM works. There is a first, like I would say, barrier that come from over complicating things inherited from 20 years of deep SEO that need to happen, and it translates for me really in a simple way. The core truth for your AI visibility is that one, your content must be accessible via LLM, and your content must match real user intent. It's simple when you phrase it. The execution might be complex, but let's not start overthinking the demographic or the localization of your AI visibility strategy if we haven't put in place the fundamental, which is, does your website is retrievable by an LLM? So there is a full technical segment in which the usual head of marketing is not really interesting into, because it's very technical. So we do audits, and then we try to fix that. And the most important part for them, it's really when we go into the content strategy, what kind of content, at which rhythm, which frequency, where do we will put that content, and that's the main part. And there is also unlearning that needs to happen around the content, especially.
So when your clients come to you, are they visible when they first come to you or not? I'm just curious because you know how with GEO you have to be, well, it's about citations, right? Are you visible when somebody asks a question? How often do you find your clients to be visible right from the beginning?
It's a very complicated question somehow, because as you mentioned in your previous talk, to measure AI visibility, what a client can have at his disposal is three type of data of measurement. There is a big family around the real prompt. So it's a panel user that are sharing their entire LLM discussion, and that's a good revelator for what the user are really asking about an industry or about a brand. It's good for my client if they already appeared in those real prompts, and those real prompts will really help. It's really actionable, and it directly translates into a very efficient and targeted content strategy. There is a second family, which are the synthetic prompt. Basically, the company can do it, we can do it for them, or there is plenty of tools that are offering that on the market nowadays. You run what I call synthetic prompt, in which you will use your brand against your competitors, or you will test some prompt in which you would like to have some visibility. That's another type of data, really interesting for evolution over time, really interesting for a competitive benchmark. And finally, you have what I call the closest source of truth, which is your server log metrics. That will tells you which bot will are crawling your website and your content in real time. For good visibility, you need a little bit of three, I think, but you can start with one and then expand. So usually how we start with our clients is real prompt. It's good revelator where they actually stand, but sometimes the prompt, the real user prompt, are not targeted or branded enough. So then we fall back onto the server log, and based on the server log, we can see where the actual visibility really lay down. And based on that, we work on improving impression. Impression are good, are a little bit of a vanity metrics, I would say, because for a client, what matter most is the conversion rate. Is when we deploy a full strategy for several months, at some point in time, they want to see it reflected in their revenue. So we usually start with the server log, and it really depends on the, I will say, the popularity of the subject in
Mm.
LLM by default. And for that, it really, really changed industry by industry. Just a few very popular topics that we can find in our real user prompt data set is usually travel, huge opportunity for travel, hotel brand, online education, and you see how does it match like the core purpose of an LLM, which were created as productive tool. And then for software, it's a little bit more complicated, but the search are existing. That's how we address, and that's how we assess the initial visibility score, and it really, really changed depending on the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is really insightful, that the fact that it's really variable, and how you go about using it, the methodology is really important. Okay. So one of the areas that Jean Noel focuses on is luxury brands. So we want to do a little bit of a deep dive, which is a sort of an oxymoron because we don't have a lot of time for deep dive. So it's a little bit of a deep dive. So let me ask you. So you've studied, luxury brands. How are they performing in AI search?
Again, it's a really subtle subject. It's full of nuance, full of finesse. But I wanted to question authority of a brand in AI search. Is authority the same concept in SEO versus AI search? And I wanted to add something in my auditing tool, because I noticed that with client, we are really focused with the server log on their website, or with the synthetic prompt on a few very targeted benchmark against like 5 or 10 of their competitor. I wanted to have some kind of a broader picture of an industry and where my client could potentially sit within the training data, the basic model brain. So I questioned Gemini about French luxury brand, and the findings are really interesting. One of them is that the Gemini I perfectly integrated the corporate structure. The bigger brand, the most famous that we can all think about first, like Chanel, Dior, Hermes, will trust the first places in AI visibility, which means that the corporate size, the natural footprint of a brand translate in AI visibility. That's a good point for SEO. All the effort that those big brands have made over the past 20 years still translate heavily in LLM. But then it started to get interesting when you get into the middle tier and the bottom tier. That's where the opportunity for emerging brand emerge, because in terms of authority, they can build that sort of authority by association if it's done intelligently. So really interesting. I notice also like the luxury brand tend to have a very controlled messaging, and that could conflict a little bit with the effort that you will need for AI visibility, especially for the bigger brand. But for the big brand, they have to be to some have some kind of defensive position. They have to secure their spot in LLM for visibility, for AI visibility. And a lot of their websites is definitely not optimized for LLM retrieval. They tend to have inspirational brand storytelling and visual immersion experience, and that's definitely not good for AI visibility. It can be forgiven for the biggest brand, but if you are an emerging brand that want to position yourself as a luxury brand, watch out not to replicate too much the UX of the big house, because you make it really hard for an LLM to retrieve you. And yeah, it's quite complex and deep topic, and I hope we will have another opportunity to discuss it. But for instance, also for a bigger brand, Dior doesn't have a blog section, and it's pretty normal. You don't expect Dior to communicate or publish article that will frame a user intent, like what is our best perfume for Mother's Day, which a smaller brand should do if they want to appear in AI visibility. So once again, your positioning in SEO and traditional search, where you stand today, will dictate the strategy that you will need to implement tomorrow if you want to have a chance to make it have a better visibility and AI system.
Mm-hmm. So we'll definitely have you come back because I know that you have a tool specifically analyzing the different luxury brands. But let me just ask you. So I have a little bit of experience in fashion, and what I've noticed in fashion is that there's heavy set of images, right? A lot of images and very few words. And you can have alt image for each of the images, but it's not going to seem as authoritative as, let's say, medicine, right? Where you have to have a lot of words and explanation and references and all of that. So how does that, help or hurt like a luxury brand?
Exactly, and it's in the name. It's a LLM. So if you don't have much language and everything is kind of cryptic and minimalist, yeah, that's not the kind of website an LLM will like to go to fetch information about you, your industry, or the even for the competitors. Um, so yeah, there is challenge for the biggest brand, and my tool is not exactly a tool. Actually, it's more like a methodology, a quick data pipeline that I used and that I apply to think about authority. What's really good about authority in LLM is really that this what I call like authority by association. So here, let's say we speak about a brand that want to emerge as a luxury brand. Having your brand named right next to a giant name will make you appear like one in the LLM brain. So I think the influence marketing might change and adapt a lot, because you can score very high with Kim Kardashian promoting in one post. But then let's think also about the content in the LLM context. Usually content in LLM have a way shorter lifespan in the retrieval, because an LLM AI system will want to quote accurate and fresh data. But what I've seen in my little graph and data analysis is that, first of all, there is the line between luxury and premium is a little bit blurred in AI system. So here I see again for emerging brand huge opportunity to create content quite easily, in which their brand will be associated with a bigger brand name. And on that, it's still a little bit theoretical. And I would love to speak with a marketing person in luxury brand specifically, and with a little bit of willing on their side to experiment. I think they could hack their way really fast in AI visibility and gaining more mention and more conversion.
Okay,
So
I think I have.
really,
Oh,
yeah, no, it's a really deep
mm,
subject, and yeah, I apologize if I go into too
no,
much side turn and everything, but yeah, it's really interesting, and I will be happy to share the full study during another call.
yeah. Well, I have somebody for you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's
All
let's
right.
have a call. Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a conversation. So we have a few minutes left. So, the question is, where is this all going? And, do you think, and I'll ask everyone this question. I'm not, nobody has a crystal ball, but do you think one AI platform will dominate like Google did, or do you think that it'll be fractured?
As of today, it's quite fragmented, which is good and also bad, because you have to think about AI visibility in different model. Definitely, Google has a distribution advantage, and I'm questioning. The biggest question I think will be: will Google kill the AI search bar? Because if they do so, they are definitely winning the AI race and the AI adoption. If Google decide to turn every search into an AI search, the question is answered. My beacon on that matter are my parents. My parents just, let's say, for the past 5 years, have barely adopted Google search. When they were asking me to fix their printer, lately I tend to send them back to Google, but they are not yet in ChatGPT or the AI mode of Google. So maybe what we could see will be maybe a specialization by tool. Maybe ChatGPT can be the general search tool for my parents, because they already heard about ChatGPT over and over. And if they decide to go into AI search or to start using AI tool, they might go to ChatGPT first, while some other tool like Claude will maybe definitely will be like more niche, productive for very tech savvy professional. let's say. So perhaps personalization and specialization, depending on the platform.
Okay, we have less than a minute left. One last question. What should companies focus on right now?
I'll try to make it short. First, let's, for a company, stop debating geo versus SEO. That's already an arrière-garde, rear guard question. You know that you need some geo, so start thinking about it. The first thing, the first action that a brand should take should have insights into their AI visibility. Try to measure it by any means. Do it with the server log internally, talk with your dev team, ask them your access to your server log. And then you go into the nuance, understand LLM behavior more deeply, and finally try to really focus on the user intent. And position yourself about really the user. It sounds like obvious and like a very general like requirement that the brand were already doing, but it's even more true for AI visibility, because your user might search a very different way in LLM than what you think. Again, it's very different from an industry to another. Last year, I have consulted through our database at Get. I saw more than 60,000. I screen review 60,000 user and LLM conversation. Depending on the industry, a user don't go for a straight comparative question. What is the best shoes for hiking? What I see more often is a user coming with a problem, try to find themselves the solution, and then only start to benchmark like different option and search for the paying solution. Again, it's very different from an industry to another, but now the full discovery journey of your product will happen more and more through LLM tools because they are so good at it.
Right.
Your search engine was the white pages, and you were fighting to appear higher in the listing. Now with an LLM, your user are speaking to an agent that help them going through the same book, the web online, the open web index. So SEO is still there. It's the white pages, but now your user can speak and interact with someone that will guide them through that book. So make everything you can to be the answer to your user problem and question. It's as simple as that.
It's simple, but really difficult as well, right? Anyway,
Exactly.
yes, Jean-Noël, thank you so much for this. Our 30 minutes went up so quickly. We will follow up with another session, this time really, going to doing a deep dive on luxury brands. But thank you everyone for joining today and for your comments, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Ciao, ciao.